All right, hey everybody, it's Himdwnstares. Welcome to my first podcast episode of Guerilla Spittin. We're going to be doing that today. What's this about, you say? What's this podcast about? Oh, it's going to be a bunch of things. It's going to be basically me, no games, just me talking, either spitting straight facts or my experiences, my world. You get to see what it is to be inside my warped mind. I mean, I've had, I wouldn't say fans, but people have noticed me from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Mixer, even Trovo and such. And so I always have a presence on the air or watching my videos or such. So I want you guys to sit back, guys and gals. Sorry, I always say guys, that's really bad. Sit back and enjoy the ride and see where we go from there. What about myself? Okay, let's start with that. I guess we'll do this will be an origin story. Okay, maybe this will be the lost banana peels of Himdwnstares. Okay, so I originally started, I started as a gamer on Mixer. That was back in 2019. Yep, 2019. I mean, I knew about Twitch. I felt Twitch was a little bit faster than I wanted to go. I don't know. It was kind of like motorcycles. I guess Mixer was more like the motorcycle with less CCs with training wheels on, whereas Twitch was kind of like, wow, you got to be really into this. You got to be really serious about this and such. And I did Mixer for, I would say, about a year or so. I went through some hoops, just thinking I knew everything about streaming, and I was watching all this information on YouTube and Facebook and even, what is it, Kindle? Yeah, Kindle. I was reading books about Kindle, how to stream, and I thought it'd be easy. I originally wanted to be an Amazon affiliate. I wanted to do podcasting. Actually, I didn't want to be a gamer. Gaming, I've played video games since I was 7 years old, but I don't know. Games to me were more personal. I had certain games that I played. I can play them, pretty, basic RPG, basic FPS, whatever. And I could play them very thoroughly, back when I was a little bit younger. Like I said, I was always popular. I mean, I liked games. Like I said, it was just personal. And I wanted to do podcasting because I would say the difference between, let's say, gaming and podcasting, obviously you're playing some games, but with podcasting, I guess with gaming you would have more. It was always like you got to have the cam, you got to have all these different graphics, you got to have all these overlays, and I just was like, what? I didn't know what the hell that was. I was just like, let me just freaking talk, and I didn't think people wanted to hear me talk, but I've heard from people like, oh man, you have a good voice, you should try to sell something. And I think I have the gift of gab. So I don't remember the exact date, but I'm going to say Himdwnstares was born on August 19th, 2019. So I started on Mixer. I started with, I believe my first stream was Ace Combat 7. It went horribly. I mean, it went okay. I mean, I had a couple of test streams before that, and they just went horribly. I was doing everything wrong. The first thing I had when I started streaming, I was under the impression that only thing you needed was a regular computer, a console. That's what I had. I originally had an Xbox. I had all the consoles. An Xbox 360, a PlayStation 4, Xbox One. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I know how to do this. So I didn't have a capture card. I didn't have a graphics card, all this stuff. It was the first 7 months was just, oh my God. It was like the first time I aired it, the lag was bad. And then I hired people through various, I guess, websites to help me enhance my content or my platform, and it was back and forth. So after, I say about the end of, I would say at the beginning of 2020 was when I started streaming. Like I said, the first game was Ace Combat 7. That was pretty good. I was always having audio issues. I don't know. It was just it was weird. It was like everyone else was doing it so easy. Like I had this one streamer that I know pretty well, and his stuff is always immaculate, and it's just like he made the stuff look so easy. And then for me, it was like, oh, I could do this as easy. What I'm saying is the way that he tell me was that you have to make sure everything is done correctly, pay attention to detail, make sure this is is this? I mean, I didn't even know what Slobs or OBS was, and I had help with him, help with others, and I finally had a streaming channel on Mixer. I was doing a couple of games, I guess I wasn't like a heavy involved streamer or a dedicated streamer. I would just stream once in a while. I was still like insecure. Everyone was doing cams, and I mean, this one particular person I knew, he didn't use cams. He actually used like a face rig, which I thought was awesome. I said, "Oh, that's ambiguous. That's awesome. You just still have like a secret identity and such." I mean, I had reasons for it. I could say it now because I'm almost done. When I was in the military, and then number two, I worked for a government agency. So I was always careful about appearances and especially what I projected and what I would talk about. I didn't want it to be something that I didn't want to be political because I felt like it wasn't needed. I felt like you had too many people out there. So you had your pick of the litter. You didn't need another loudmouth, and I think when things changed for me last couple of years, I started to see with the gaming, especially with the gaming involved, like a lot of people doing gaming and then at the same time kind of talking about more about themselves or more about their views or their beliefs and such. And since like now we're so polarized of having different views and sticking to a side and such, I just said, no, I just want to play games, I just wanted to keep playing games and thinking that was the method. I played games for a little while, then I started, streaming, and then sort of I would get a following, and then after I get a following, and that would be it. Then I would have fans, and then I would have donations and such, and that would be it. I mean, I knew some people made a living off from, this was on Mixer. I didn't do Twitch. I didn't do any of those things yet. I didn't jump into like Facebook or YouTube or anything. I was still on Mixer, just trying to learn and figured that I would move on from Mixer to other things. And then I started, like I said, learning more information from other streamers and then paying attention to like other videos on YouTube talking about, oh yeah, you should merch and stuff. And some people I'd follow as streamers, they had some really lame merchandise, I thought. And I said, nah, my stuff's got to be extraordinary, or something that even if you wasn't into me, you would be into maybe the art or maybe the lore of Himdwnstares. Originally, Himdwnstares was supposed to be a snob, an old man who can play video games just as well as any younger person could, because he played for so long. And, I made this whole story up like he was from some academy and that he kind of, I don't know if he was like a student or he was an alumni or someone that just decided to stay there and basically represent, this academy to the fullest of gamers. And it was an interesting paragraph I had at the beginning, and it was honestly, it was fucking lame. It was so fucking lame. So after that, I said, nah, this is not gonna sell. I'll just make him like he's a snob because people think I'm a snob, either because I guess I should talk about this then. Okay, for those who don't know, sometimes I do trick people. I wouldn't say this. I am black, okay, Black American. Actually, I'm mixed. If you want to go into specifics, I would say Black American Dominican, which basically just means you're double black. It just means you... I'm not going to go into, like my daddy's Navajo or something like that. Like, nah, I mean, whatever. But my voice this is from other people, not me, but other people. And this is for over years and years. They say I don't talk, which I find that slightly offensive, like, oh, you don't talk black. And what you look like doesn't represent what you speak. And I said, well, tell me, how am I supposed to do that? So I kind of took that to the literal sense of saying, okay, he's a snob. So he's like, what's that guy, Carlton on the Fresh Prince? He's very like either articulate, he's a snob and such. So, and people used to say that to me, oh, you're like Carlton because it's just like he's a snob. And I'm like, dude, okay, whatever. It's always something to knock a person down, I guess, and so I decided to take that, spin it, to my advantage. So he would be a snob. And then the same, and people ask, well, why is it an ape? Himdwnstares, and I'm going back to the streaming thing in a minute, but people would ask, well, what's the thing with an ape? You're black, it's kind of like you're black. People kind of call you like certain phrases that other names that they use to degrade African Americans or black people is like monkeys, and like, I would say, as I say, spin it to make a negative into a positive, right? So to me, some of my favorite movies were Planet of the Apes. I always thought gorillas or apes were strong, very strong territorial creatures. I always felt that there is a certain amount of strength, a certain amount of poise they always had, I guess, respect and such. Not saying I watch fucking Tarzan or something like that, or say, he beats up apes or apes respect him when he's raised by apes. No. I just always felt they're a majestic animal and such. And so with that, I felt that was someone or something that I could identify with, as far as, I wouldn't say animal spirit, but just, I think and also it's kind of the poke fun of that whole racial aggression, or issue, or that symbol of it being a monkey. It's like, okay, it's a gorilla, so fucking what? Which nowadays it's not even really relevant anymore. I think you just, a lot of streamers that I've seen have logos with apes or monkeys on them. It's always meaning that they're kind of either they're crazy or they just go buck wild or whatever. So anyway, back to the stream, right? So I would say about 16 months with Mixer. Then Mixer just goes belly up. They go belly up because of COVID, right? A lot of people are staying indoors. More people are watching like Twitch, Facebook, and Mixer just gets the short end of the stick. And so Mixer says, okay, you know what? Time's up. We're done. I saw it hurt a lot of people, but for me, I thought it was a good thing. Not saying Mixer to go, but it kind of even out things. You had all these channels. I mean, I'm the ones that I recall. Like I said, Facebook, YouTube, D Live, Trovo. I think you had a couple other ones out there that I'm not too keen about. But yeah, you had all these different channels, and everyone is kind of like staking their flag or whatever. And I just said, it just kind of simplifies things. That way everyone can watch it on certain channels. Now, the majority of the streaming community that I knew, they didn't like that, and especially those who were on Mixer. It was kind of like they already had their home and they were doing okay. And so they had to kind of pack up and start over. But for me, it was sort of like, well, I'm not really established, I have a few fans. I mean, my live streams would be just crazy because I would have one, maybe three people. I think the most streams I've had on Mixer, and I could even probably say it was larger than even the amount of people that I have on a live stream on YouTube, was probably, I had 12. That was the largest number I ever had. I never had anything larger than that. Mixer was gone, and so I took that as, like I said, I took it as a positive. Like, okay, it's time for me to try YouTube, to try Facebook. Because Mixer kind of transformed into Facebook. They sold themselves. They just said, fuck it, let's go. And that was pretty much it. I mean, I had a little campaign. I always have a campaign anytime that there's change. I think that some people might just get stressed out. It's interesting is that when people get stressed out, they try to kind of like either just go through the motions. They don't really have any type of creativity. They just say, oh, I'm just going, it was like the majority of streamers I knew, oh, I'm just going to Facebook, or I'm going to Twitch. That was the other one, Twitch. And that was it. Nothing spectacular. Nothing like, oh, we should do this. I did this one where I thought this was cool, and a couple of streamers know this, and a couple of people know this, but I did this. They had this picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware, right? And I knew this guy. He did a lot of photoshopping, which he did that with a lot of my content, because the thing was, I would always stream, right? Or I would seldom stream, but I did a lot of advertising on like Instagram, and Facebook. A lot of that. And a lot of it was like basically the logo head, and he was on these different like action movies. Like I took some from Commando, like Schwarzenegger, or those movies were just large, like Rambo, Commando, Terminator, Escape from New York, films like that. And so anyway, I would put this logo head, my logo, on these different things, and I got a lot of hits for that. And it seemed like it was always that he was everywhere, and that was the point. Himdwnstares was everywhere. Like, I'm here, I'm doing this, but it's always related to action, related to most of the games I play. I don't play sports. I don't like for those, or I don't play those long-winded RPGs when it's little girls, talking different languages. I didn't play that. I played first-person shooters. I played attack jets, or certain stories and stuff. Everything was related to action, whatever. So with that, I had this picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware. So I put my head on it, or sorry, the logo head, him downstairs, and I put leaving Mixer land and going to Facebook Onia or Twitch Lana or something. and a lot of people thought it was pretty. I did that. Then I did one where it was a fat guy. I took a picture of a fat guy trying to work out, and it was kind of like burn that Mixer weight off and go to Twitch. And I even had a campaign called "Bitch Switch to Twitch." And I always think that you kind of need that type of spark to re-energize yourself, and also and think of, in a way, you introduce yourself to a new form of people that, or I would say viewers that would, maybe I'll watch them or whatever it was. So I tried Twitch, and the thing I saw this as a pattern with Mixer with me and then Twitch and me wasn't I wasn't always consistent, and I felt like I wasn't really opening myself up to collaborators. I had a team of people that some would edit, some would provide music, and creators that were effective, and some of them they were streamers, some of them weren't, but some of them were streamers. And it was always, I guess somehow I was a reluctant, not saying that I was better than them. I didn't have that thing of ego. It wasn't about ego. It was always about, I feel like I wasn't like, when they would do it so effortlessly. Where I would do it was always like a struggle, like something would always fall apart, and it kind of diminished. In some ways, it always would diminish my spirit in regards to streaming. I noticed that with Twitch, it was always live, and so I started doing some of the live streaming, not as, like I said, not as consistent, because I had other things going on. I had school, I had military, I had jobs, I had other obligations. So it was always this constant like time management. And not to say that I didn't, how would I say, I'm not blaming my other various entities or things I'm into because of my situation with Twitch. I always put myself on I always hold myself in highest accountability. I just believe that's what you're supposed to do, especially when you do everything yourself, or somewhat. With that, I decided I wanted to go, so was Twitch, and then I was on Facebook simultaneously, right? Because of Mixer, because Mixer turned into Facebook. So I did Facebook, and then I joined Level Up Gaming, which was the sort of the partner program, kind of like Mixer, where Mixer was like you could be in a partner or such. I was very happy. I thought it was a win. I looked at it as a win-win for me. But they had certain stipulations, and then it was like you have to stream at least 4 hours twice a week or 3 times a week. And I was like, man, I can't do that shit. And you would see all these people just be streaming for hours and hours and hours. And then I looked at it from, and I'll tell you this, and and people will probably hear this and say, well, why didn't you try this? Or why didn't you get this, try this type of equipment, or try this? I tried everything. I spent so much money, on equipment, on services, on people, just to get the channel to some, I think as far as technology and graphics, I was pretty much up to par with most content creators who've been doing it for a few years, because I had the resources to do it. But I lacked the skill, and maybe even, I don't know if this would even be considered used, but the streamer IQ. A lot of times you would say, oh, that basketball player has a basketball IQ, or that person has this type of IQ, like something that you knew what you're supposed to do while streaming to grab viewers, to have them, make them captivate them into watching you. I had like a couple of people, but some consistencies, but it just was never considered. I used to make clips all the time, and put them on Instagram. I would watch all these, like I said, the streamers that I knew, that I was, most of the time I was fans, and I would say, okay, I see what this guy's doing, I see what she's doing, I see what this person's doing, I see what they're doing, and I try to emulate that. But it was just me, not collaborating, as I was supposed to, or because I feel like I wasn't ready, to be honest, and I just felt like I wasn't ready. So anyway, with that, Level Up Gaming Level Up Facebook, they dropped me after a while, because I wasn't doing what was required. And then I was getting into this whole frenzy of trying to jump into so many different so many different projects that a streamer would do. I would jump into affiliate marketing. So I jumped into like the drinks, like instead of G Fuel was Rogue Energy, and that shit. I shouldn't have done that. And it just wasn't for me. Okay. That probably wasn't for me. I was just basically trying to make myself a copy of all these other streamers, because I figured if I go into the fold, the thing was interesting with me. I felt like I was trying to find a niche, but at the same time, I was pushing myself into a category. Pushing myself into the standard of what I saw streamers as. I was saying, well, here's the niche. I see a lot of black or minority streamers and especially I had two categories that fit. I was middle age. Okay. I said I'm in my mid 40s I can say late 40s, mid late 40s. And then a lot of the streamers that I seen were black or minority had this certain style. Certain way they carried themselves. They did the cams, they did the baseball caps, the fitted caps and all that stuff, and always listen to hip hop and stuff. And not everyone, but the majority. And I just said I don't fit in that. And maybe that's what the world sees. People like me in that kind of category. And it's no disrespect to them, because I would say a large percentage of like the community out there, streamer community period, but I would say even more so minorities. Like, for instance, there's a few, like I said, I can't remember their names, but I'll probably have to do it on the next one. But they showed me mad love, especially with the name Himdwnstares. People, most of the times I got laughs from them because they knew where it came from. Himdwnstares was a joke from Bernie Mac, like, from the Kings of Comedy. And the whole thing was Himdwnstares. The whole point was the guy didn't give a shit. And that was my moniker. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do this how I'm doing. I'm a gorilla with glasses. That means I'm smart. Yes. Okay. Gorilla nonetheless. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you think. I'm just going to do it. And if you like it, you'll stick around. If you don't, hey, go somebody else. It's a free country. I made sure of it was free, if you understand what I mean. So yeah, just being with that, the minority and all that stuff. I just wasn't getting any traction with Twitch. Wasn't getting any traction with Facebook. I met all these people. I met all these people around. I was in these groups, but it just seemed like I was constantly just getting shelved. And sometimes sometimes I would say that some people would build resentment, and I felt those moments. I built resentment. I felt like, why is this? I would watch people on Facebook. I watch people on Twitch, and some of these dudes was garbage. I thought it was garbage. They were cookie cutters. They copied other people. They just look good. Sometimes when you're on platforms like Twitch or Facebook, you have, like I said, you have to have a niche, but sometimes you just have to fit that mold. You have to be young, you have to be good looking. I know there are exceptions. I believe that that's exceptions, and that's good. They have something, and that's what I try to fit in, not necessarily thinking that, I'm not saying I'm ugly, but I just figure that people just didn't want to see this face. And maybe that's some self-confidence issues and insecurity issues on, physical appearance, but that's just how I look at myself. And I guess, and I am getting more comfortable, more so with that. And later on, maybe even show my face. Moving on to that, I was on Twitch, I was dissatisfied, and then YouTube. And I was watching all these YouTube content creators who were on Twitch, but they did also YouTube. And they were talking about, YouTube's going to be the next streaming platform. And I think what it was that made me decide to go and do YouTube was when Dr. Disrespect was like, they showed a lot of videos of Dr. Disrespect on YouTube from other people, because I think of his contract with Twitch, right? Or so. And when he got dropped, and there was like, well, we don't know where he's going to go. Where is he going to go? Where is he going to go? And it might have been kind of before that, maybe, but that was just when everything was like, things were still political, things were still about the COVID, whatever. And so I was like, you know what, just do it. And then I thought of it, and then I was looking at my stuff from Mixer, and I was looking at my stuff from Twitch. People don't watch me live, they watch me after. And I was just like, why don't you just go to YouTube? You can record it, you don't have to do it live. You can record it and you get your views and see what happens from there. I thought that was my niche, just to record stuff and people would watch it after that, Yeah. So so without further ado, Himdwnstares Gaming on YouTube was born from that. I think that was in 2000. That was 2020. Yeah, like mid 2020. I'm thinking around maybe February, March, or something like that. Yeah. And I transferred all my stuff from Twitch to there. I still have Twitch. I just don't stream on it every now and then unless I do a multi-stream. And from there, I've been on YouTube ever since then. I still every now and then do live streams, but most of the time I do recordings, montages, ads. I'm getting better in doing my own ads in regards to advertising my feelings. It's sort of like a mini movie with one style. I wish I can get better at it, but I have to learn more and more and more on that. What made me go into podcasting, or I would say try podcasting? Like I said, I always wanted to do it. I just figured that I would build a large, immense fan base from gaming, but anyway, so I figured, like, why not try podcasting? I mean, I might as well do it. And plus, part of me, I don't know, it's just, I don't feel like, I like gaming, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being forced to do it. And when I feel like I'm being forced to do it, it makes me very reluctant and even sometimes enthusiastic to do it sometimes, With other stuff going on in my life, I guess I can say this since we're on a podcast or such. I suffer from depression, so I always keep myself busy with so many projects. If you wanted to say I multitask as far as project after project. So one project's done, I'm picking up something else. I'm learning something else. Like I'm reading, I'm reading this. I'm reading information about that. I'm learning about, at the same time I'm doing my school. I'm doing my military, which, in a few months I retire. Thank God. That shit is fucking over. 23 years is fucking a long time in any I would say any job like that is like a relationship. It's time to cut ways. And so yeah, well, why I want to get into that, because I think I have something to offer, as far as me being intuitive, me being somewhat intelligent, I won't say well-rounded, but something that says that I can offer people, especially the younger versions of me, or the younger generation, something. I'm not saying to tell them that they need to do it in order to survive, because I make mistakes even now. I'm not happy. I don't search for happiness. I search for contentment. I'm content with what I have, but I always strive for more. I always want to do better, and I did. I never believe in the concept of accept me for who I. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little hypocritical with that. I wouldn't say accept me for who I am, but you could say you can accept me, but at the same time, I'm going to be better than the version that I was before. So whatever I was 3 days ago, I see in my eyes better than, and I think that's an important lesson from that. So I think that says a little bit of what I'm doing now, as far as and what will be on the podcast. It's going to be a range of topics. Most of the stuff about my past. Where I grew up, my family, I'm not gonna say my value system or belief system, but it always changes due to things, because I feel that I'm a three-dimensional thinker, and I know some people understand that concept, and what side I'm on the fence on, or what are my beliefs. I'll say some of them. I won't say everything. I don't think you need to know everything about what I stand and believe, but some of it will come out in other ways, so you can kind of connect the dots. And if you want to know, you can always ask me straight up, or such. So yeah, the podcast will I still will play games. I still will talk about some games. I'll talk about movies, especially like the last few movies that are out, and a range of topics. We might even get political, to some extent. I find that once you listen to me, you will see that you will say, oh yeah, he's different. And when I mean different, it's not going to be what you would typecast me in or put me in a box as, because you see this and he must be this way, he must lean this way, and not necessarily. So you have to you have to listen. Okay. I want to say thank you for stopping on my first one, and also give a special shout out to Orcosaurus. He is a comrade. He is my Colonel Troutman to my Rambo. That one scene where he knew I think his name was Murdoch. Yeah, Murdoch lied about being in Vietnam, and he said, "You're the only one I trust." And I thought that was a very powerful scene. But yeah, I want to say thanks everybody for stopping by. Be sure to go to Himdwnstares HIMDWNSTARES @gmail.com, and Himdwnstares on Instagram. Guerilla Spittin episode 1. This is May 19th in the year of our Lord 2021, and we'll be back again with Guerilla Spittin episode 2. All right, take care. Himdwnstares out.